When does Snow White come out?
Please?
For which movie?
The movie has a major identity crisis.
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hard.
You know the saying, you know, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie.
And it's going to fail cataclysmically.
I think so too. I think
I watched some of the previews. It's ugly as sin.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
If you can't avoid this movie, you absolutely should, because it's absolute trash.
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime. And let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMDb for the new Snow White. And it couldn't happen to a better person.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them.
Rachel Zegler's empty theater fiasco exploded online the moment those sad photos surfaced, leaving everyone asking why a supposed Hollywood darling ended up screening her new film in a ghost town. One glance at the shots of her posing with a bouquet in front of endless rows of vacant seats spoke louder than any box office report. Some ridiculed her self-congratulatory energy, comparing it to a musician who books a stadium show and then blames the audience when no one buys tickets. Observers remembered how she once bragged that people would line up to see her in anything.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces. And people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
They joked that the only line forming now was the queue of memes mocking her self-important meltdown. The entire debacle felt like a funeral for her reputation, before the movie even had a chance to die on its own.
Cry me a river. She's just exactly everything that we can't stand.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
She's also just a spoiled, entitled, narcissistic brat.
But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever.
25,000 more just like her knocking on the same doors that she had opened to her. She had the opportunity of a lifetime, and instead of being humble and grateful, she was entitled and a snot.
Her public unraveling gained traction faster than anyone could spin it. Whispered reports suggested she lashed out at negative comments and kept tabs on critics, even ones with small followings. She allegedly fumed over what she called internet vultures, but her outbursts only sharpened their talons. Witnesses close to the production claimed that every insult, every jab, every sarcastic remark sparked a new rant behind the scenes. She burned time fighting personal battles on social media, ignoring her team's pleas to keep her mouth shut. Screenshots circulated of her venting about toxic nobodies, reinforcing the belief that she viewed fans as beneath her. That attitude only fueled more backlash, turning a simple box office disappointment into a full-blown meltdown. People called her ungrateful for snapping at potential customers, no matter how trollish their comments were. The pile-on continued as fresh stories leaked about her combative approach to any hint of criticism. In the midst of her tantrums, she took a direct shot at Trump supporters, publicly wishing them a lifetime of misery.
So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump.
President Rachel Zegler also posted, F Trump kinds of posts on social media. She also said that she hoped that Trump supporters, quote, never know peace.
It's strange to see the Hollywood celebrity crowd subordinate their art ethically to politics.
It's fear. It's fear.
We have a really important presidential election for you to vote
for Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
You know, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film.
She wasn't able to quantify or to say what Kamala stood for, what the Democrats were going to bring into place.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too.
Yeah, because there's nothing more effective than 19-year-olds educating the rest of the voting public while yelling, "Okay, boomer."
Some who had no political allegiance rolled their eyes and said she was practically begging half the country to skip her film. Commentators wondered if she wanted to sabotage her own career or if she just believed her hype so much that she didn't care. Her posts spread like wildfire, riling people who weren't even fans of the former president. Many called it Hollywood arrogance, an actress feeling so invincible that she'd trash an entire demographic without blinking. By the time she tried pivoting to more neutral ground, the damage had been done. Disney loyalists felt betrayed when they heard her belittle the original Snow White as old-fashioned and weird. Everyone expected a modern reboot, but no one expected the lead actress to trample on the very fairy tale that started the Disney empire. People posted clips of her calling the prince a stalker and branding the whole premise outdated. That rubbed fans the wrong way, especially those who grew up cherishing the 1937 classic.
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
Oh my God.
Fans accusing Disney of inserting unnecessary feminism into classic fairy tales.
Disney also abolished its famous princes and princesses because they're gender stereotypes. Really? Can't we just have princes and princesses anymore?
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
It's a f***ing princess movie. Can we just get to true love's kiss and happily ever after?
Who wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage. Her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that choice.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
The internet lit up with memes depicting the original Snow White pushing Zegler away with a dismissive wave, capturing the sentiment that she never fully respected the role. Disney had banked on her star power and singing talent to carry this remake, but all everyone saw was contempt for the source material. Rumors swirled that even some studio executives regretted ever hiring someone so keen on rewriting the past. Word spread about friction between Zegler and Gal Gadot, and it didn't take much digging to find hints of mutual annoyance. Their interviews looked tense, with forced smiles and awkward silences. Social media detectives noticed that Zegler's big thank you post to her castmates conveniently excluded Gadot, fueling theories that their beef ran deep. Insiders whispered about disagreements tied to geopolitics, where Zegler's public stances clashed with Gadot's background. The studio allegedly beefed up security at events after heated social media threats started rolling in. Fans saw the tension when they tried to share a stage, with neither looking particularly thrilled to be there.
Was this Academy Awards? Anyway, feminist Conor McGregor.
Who the fuck is that guy?
It's a weird walk for a weird broad, and I don't like her.
It is, and it's really mean to put her next to Gal Gadot, who's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
So
it's not fair.
Disney hoped they'd come off as a dynamic duo, but the energy felt closer to two coworkers tolerating each other. Critics said it was another black mark on a project already hemorrhaging goodwill. The production itself limped under a mountain of controversy that started long before anyone stepped foot on a set. Casting Rachel Zegler as a Latina Snow White was initially praised by some as progressive, but the goodwill dissolved once she started talking down to critics. Then came the uproar over the Seven Dwarfs. Peter Dinklage's comments about stereotypes forced Disney to take a different approach, which ended up creating CGI stand-ins that pleased no one.
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that fucking backward story of seven dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
Did the dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards. And then, of course, Disney instantly buckled and said, okay, we're going to add magical creatures.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs, finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work. That many scripts that come down the pike.
No, it's 7 of them.
That has, and there's seven. Dwarf jobs here. But because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not right.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, it's for dwarfs, you know?
These are roles made for actors of my stature. I can't go out for the Harrison Ford or the George Clooney roles because that's not for me. Right. And now it's taken away. I don't feel that's right.
Some of you want us to hire actual dwarf humans, and then we thought we would have CGI magical creatures. How about this? We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarfs. So we'll guarantee no employment for little people while getting rid of this other component that warranted CGI. It was the worst decision they could possibly make.
Traditionalists felt robbed of the whimsical dwarfs from the classic cartoon, while others saw it as a hollow attempt at political correctness. The entire production sounded like a perfect storm of conflicting goals. Modernize the story without alienating old fans, show diversity without insulting those who might feel replaced, and maintain that Disney magic while the lead actress trashed her own film's legacy. In the end, none of those tasks were done gracefully. The secret meltdown behind the scenes was even worse. Her PR team allegedly begged her to dial down the outbursts, warning that she was alienating everyone. She refused, insisting she had a right to speak her truth no matter how hostile or off-putting it seemed. Disney finally sent a representative to micromanage her social media, hoping to avoid more political rants or insults toward critics. That made headlines when the son of a prominent Disney producer let slip that his father had to fly out and practically beg Zegler to stop. This was the ultimate red flag.
They flew an executive, one of the producers, out to go visit personally with Rachel Zegler to say, could you please take that down? Because we understand you can have your political views, but those aren't really helpful while you're trying to build an audience for a movie. But maybe not, maybe just take the tweet down. And she wouldn't. And then they had to hire a special media consultant for her to follow her around all the time and make sure she didn't continue on Snow White and the Prince and young love and women who want to get married. The son of that producer who got on the plane to go over and say, would you please, for the love of God, take this down? And she wouldn't, was all on Instagram yesterday admitting it all.
And then Jonah Platt, who's the son of the producer of the film, responded and said, you really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew. Believes that she should be able to express herself regardless of the consequences to everybody else. In reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. And that job comes with certain basic responsibilities. One of the most basic is the responsibility to control yourself and comport yourself a certain way publicly so that you don't harm the project and thereby harm all the hundreds of other people who are working on it.
So what do you think the odds are of this person working ever again?
When executives are forced to babysit a star's Instagram, you know the brand is in crisis. Even then, she stayed stubborn, occasionally sneaking in digs that the PR babysitter missed. By the time the film opened, it was clear the damage couldn't be undone. When early reviews landed, the negativity was astounding. People called the movie expensive, joyless, and weighed down by an identity crisis. Box office returns confirmed the public's disinterest, with some theaters eerily empty on what should have been a major opening night. Photos of deserted seating charts circulated faster than the film's official posters, emphasizing that the online outrage translated into real-world apathy. every new interview or social media post invited more eye-rolling and hot takes. A few devoted fans tried defending her, blaming trolls for the poor turnout, but the majority said she did most of the damage herself. The meltdown was so thorough that some questioned if the brand could recover from such a misfire. This wasn't just another flop, it was a symbol of Hollywood hubris and the perils of insulting your audience. As the dust settled, even those who didn't care much about the original story saw the entire ordeal as a cautionary tale. Endless drama overshadowed what could have been a creative reimagining. Instead, the project turned into a spectacle of arrogance, poor decisions, and a total disregard for fan sentiment. Rachel Zegler's words and actions seemed to pour gasoline on every spark of controversy, creating a blaze that Disney couldn't put out. The aftermath left observers and insiders asking if she would ever bounce back from such a high-profile failure. So here's the real question. Did she destroy a cherished fairy tale and her own reputation in a single swoop? Or is this exactly what we should expect when Hollywood stars mix social media crusades with beloved classics?